Today, I'm very pleased to welcome Bob Kunze-Concewitz to the Ways Forward podcast. Bob, thanks for coming in.
Good to be here, James.
Thank you. Just wonder if you could give us a bit of a introduction into who you are, what you're doing now, what brings you to this podcast.
Well, I'm a retired CEO. I have a marketing background. I grew up in Procter Gamble and then joined the Campari Group, first as CMO and then CEO. I was CEO for 17 years.
Yeah.
And I retired 2 years ago. I'm a little active. I'm on the board of 3 public companies, one private one, and I have my own startup for low and no alcohol beverage brands.
Very exciting. What's the startup about, may I ask?
Well, the startup is about really creating brands. We're 3 founders, and our aim is to create within an arc of about 10 years, 6 to 8 brands, grow them, and then ultimately sell them off to industrial players.
Great. So is this the summary of all of your skills together into
some of it, and it's also a passion point. My real passion is building brands, and doing it from scratch is obviously a luxury.
The hardest, perhaps.
Yes and no. I mean, sometimes it's easier to start with a blank piece of paper.
Yeah. Where did this love of brands come from, Bob?
Well, I joined Procter Gamble after my MBA. I was a financial analyst, and then, the branded part of the business, so the marketing really enthralled me, and I moved over. And I just loved it. I became obsessed by it. I mean, I got really excited going into stores and making sure my shampoo was the most visible one. And if any consumer ever picked up my brand, it would be Ecstasy. And then I'd ask him or her why or why not.
Yes.
And that grew on. And I spent 5 years in hair care and then 10 years in prestige fragrances.
Yeah.
Which was a whole different dimension from an emotional standpoint.
Yes. And what's the bit when you mentioned about talking to people and discovering what they like or finding out of brands? Is that one of the main things that you enjoy with
Absolutely.
brand building?
It's, gathering those insights, those nuggets. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. It's really, keeping your eyes and ears open, being humble and really listening to what people have to say and how they interact with your brand.
Yeah. And how does that translate into your role as CEO?
I think if you're a CEO in the consumer goods industry, it's really about 2 things. It's about brands and it's about people.
Yeah.
And people build the brands. So if you have a background as a marketeer, clearly, you're in tune with what is happening in the marketplace, with your consumers, with your customers. And, when you detect those opportunities, it's about really doubling down on them.
Yeah. And is that what led to the success at Campari, which...
I mean, the success of Campari is the success of, thousands of people. We've had great, very passionate people, great brands to start with, and a lot of support from the majority shareholder, which left us a lot of space to go ahead and really focus on the business and do what was right for the business for the long term.
Yeah, that's incredible, because it's often the key determinant between success if the stakeholders are supportive of the vision and helping the CEO to make the necessary steps.
And, you need to have very strong alignment within the company.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to buy into the Kool-Aid, drink it, and really come into the office every day with a lot of passion and think 24/7 about their brands.
Yeah. And how did you encourage that in your organization?
Well, first of all, it's about selecting the right people, having the right people on board who are really obsessed about, their brands and marketing. Who really love what they're doing, who are very passionate, who get excited by really working hard and achieving things together, working in teams, retaining these people, developing these people, and also giving them, obviously, the incentive to hang around. So, I introduced a very extensive stock options plan, which made a lot of people very happy for a long time.
Good. It's good to have skin in the game.
Yes. It's essential.
Yeah. And what was your leadership philosophy when you were at Campari?
Look, first of all, as the description of a leader is, for me, having, the head in the clouds, dreaming, imagining things, but the feet firmly on the ground.
Yeah.
And, the sleeves pushed back up with your hand really, as they say in Italy, in the pasta.
Right.
Working. And that was part of it, obviously. The other one is, again, keep things simple. Fix yourself, free, maximum 5 priorities, and don't get distracted by maybe some other opportunities would show up or some short-term issues.
Yeah.
Really stay focused on those 3 to 5 things and make sure that you enable your people to actually, go ahead and pursue that dream.
Mm. And what were your top tips for keeping the focus on the 3 to 5 things?
Well, I mean, it is really about focus, and talking to people, communicating over and over again.
Yeah.
What is important.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to be distracted.
Yeah.
And also, I think one common fallacy of the marketeer gets bored very quickly.
Yeah.
You develop a brand, a campaign, or a drink, and then you think that after 6 months, it's no longer in. But actually, when you dig into the data and you realize that maybe it's only 1.2% of your target consumers,
yeah,
you need that discipline to stick to things.
Yes. And where does that discipline come from in your view?
Well, I think the discipline has to come from the top.
Yeah.
And has to be in the key KPIs. I mean, KPIs are there to make sure that everybody's walking in the same direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other word that comes to mind when you're saying that is endurance and stamina and resilience. 3 words in that case. But
well, I mean, look, you need to have them. In the drinks industry, it takes minimum 10 years to build a brand.
Right.
Okay. And yes, you will have failures at the beginning, but you need to learn very quickly and hopefully cheaply.
Yeah.
Fix things and then keep on going.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this leadership position, obviously there's a lot of role modeling, but also just the demands of managing a global brand with multiple time zones, markets, matrix organizations. How did you keep your endurance and stamina up?
Look, I mean, it all is based on one thing. If you have the passion for what you do, you have that. There were times where I would take 120, 130 flights a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Very often I'd be gone on weekends, when you're traveling to the Americas or to Asia, you make the most out of it. Even when I was in Milan, I was mostly, business dinners and all sorts of things. So it becomes a totalizing pursuit.
Yeah.
But, if you don't keep your eyes and your ears open, if you're not in the marketplace talking, in my case, to bar keepers, personnel, customers, buyers, and most importantly, your own people.
Yeah.
You'll never get to where you want.
So you kept your hands in the pasta, so to speak.
Big time.
And that's really important. So I think that's quite common, isn't it, when people ascend the senior leadership and the demands of managing stakeholders and all the other things happen. Sometimes they can lose the focus on what the market is doing. Yeah.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, maybe I simplified my life too much, but as a CEO, I really focus on 2 things, on the brands and on the people.
Yeah.
And mostly also the people side of it.
Yeah.
If you've got the wrong people, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need to have the right people, but also have them, focused and motivated and also help them grow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. It just makes me think in many ways they're 2 sides of the same coin, because brands are bought by people and they're run by people. And it's a very human business in terms of trying to delight people with your products. But at the same time, the energy of the brand sits behind that.
And you need to have people who identify themselves with the brands.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of our peers would buy Italian brands and then try to manage them with a multinational team out of London.
Yeah.
And that never worked.
Yeah.
Really an iconic Italian brand lost its soul and, was going down 15% every year.
Yeah.
Whereas I always insisted, Italians should be working on Italian brands, Americans on American, French on French.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
That worked.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, that's interesting. What are your favorite brands then in any category?
Oof. Look, what are the brands I really love? I mean, if you're talking an alcoholic beverage, it's a Campari brand.
Of course.
No question. It's Campari is still in my veins.
Yeah.
If you're talking about cars, I love cars. It's Porsche.
Yeah.
If it's watches, it's clearly some of the better Swiss ones, and there's particularly one who says you never own it,
Yes.
but you custody it for.
Yes.
And well, I'm not wearing one today, but also this one, Blancpain. Again, I was a sucker for marketing, and their advertising was, we've been here since 17 whatever, and we've never built a single quartz watch.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think that's a good reminder. I think it's important to work on things you love, because when you start working on them, you get immersed into the product, into the intricacies, the story. And so it's important that there's an alignment.
Look, I mean, products need to be authentic. They need to have a point of distinction, and most importantly, a great story to tell.
That's it.
It's storytelling.
It is storytelling, isn't it? And how did you tell the story of your vision when you were CEO to your organization?
Well, look, it was really about communication. I got lucky in that I became CEO at a point where, you could really, on a regular basis, record your messages, make sure they go out. And I, as you know, I traveled a lot. So whenever I'd go into a subsidiary, my day would start with having breakfast with employees and from all different levels, and have a very open conversation.
Yeah.
And then town hall meetings, and then lunches, and then dinners, and constant communication.
Yeah. A lot of CEOs have told me one of the big challenges they have is people don't tell you the truth, because they're always trying to influence or promote, or for a variety of reasons. What techniques did you have to disarm people? And
interestingly enough, I found that people, employees who are at entry level had absolutely no qualm about telling the truth.
Yeah.
It was those which were more maybe in middle management,
yes,
which were more buttoned up. I had a very non-threatening, engaging style, and I think people realized that when they told me things, they weren't beaten on the head for it.
Yeah.
And a culture of transparency is really appreciated. And also at the end of the day, one of my key partners was a CFO who was basically very ruthless, telling me how things stood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kept me very honest. It kept me very honest.
Did you say the CFO?
Yes, the CFO.
Yeah, it's quite often the CFO.
It could be at times very brutal, but I mean, I truly appreciated that.
Yeah, it's good to have those voices, isn't it? And you mentioned earlier that after your MBA, you joined Procter Gamble. What was it that made you select Procter Gamble?
Well, look, it's a question of freak accidents and sliding doors. Between the 2 years of my MBA, I had to do a summer internship. I had it already lined up.
Yeah.
One day I walk into the business school, and one of the classmates shows me a letter, and he goes, you don't know what this is? I go, obviously not. Tell me what it is. And he goes, I've been invited by Procter & Gamble for an interview. And I go, Procter & Gamble? Who? What do they do? He goes, they're the best, and they only hire the best. They wouldn't hire somebody like you. And lo and behold, I go to my letterbox and have an invitation too. So I said, look, I really want to get this internship. My competitive spirit lighted up, and I actually got it. He didn't.
Okay.
And lucky break, I get sent to Rome in the summer to analyze acquisition candidates. I mean, a dream job.
Yeah.
I love the city. I love the company. I love the people. It was very young, very dynamic, all very bright people. And luckily, I got a job offer at the end of that summer, and I never thought twice, and I went back.
Yeah, brilliant. What was your undergraduate in?
I went to a liberal arts college in the U.S., so it was pretty broad. But my major was in economics, and my minor was in international relations.
Okay. So then your MBA, and then you ended up doing acquisitions, which is interesting because many years later, Campari, when you were at the helm, made a lot of acquisitions.
Yeah, I think we did 25 or 26.
Do you sometimes think that the clues in what we love are kind of dotted through our lives?
Yeah, but I always say life is 50% what you do and 50% luck.
Yeah. So I can't remember if it was Gary Player who said, the better I prepare, the luckier I get.
Yeah, in Italian they say you make your own luck, but I think there is an element of luck there.
Yeah.
But obviously you've got to give it your best.
Yeah. So you were successful in your internship, you joined the graduate program, and then...
Well, no, I started immediately the following year as a financial analyst, and I used to love numbers. I did that for a while, but then I realized that it was a little bit dry.
Yeah.
The fun part was actually working directly on the brands.
Yeah.
So I asked for a transfer, and I had to interview from scratch. I was accepted and got into hair care.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience because it was the relaunch of the Pantene brand.
Right.
Which at the time wasn't successful in Europe. Everybody was talking about Vidal Sassoon Wash and Go, and Pantene was about to be discontinued.
Yeah.
And the Italian team was very good at finding this health benefit with the vitamin Pro V B5 or whatever it was, and that really resonated with consumers, and that grew.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot there. I must say, P&G has been my true MBA.
Yes. Yeah, I would say the same, that there's a lot of foundational skills and experiences that you get generally, but especially in marketing, I would say.
Also the analytical mind, communication, particularly written communication,
Yeah.
I love the one-page memo.
Yeah. And did your teams at Campari get...
I tried 19 years. That was very difficult. And I think the issue is PowerPoint.
Yeah.
PowerPoint made it so easy for people to do, 50 slide decks or 100.
Yes.
Which I would then, toss out and say, focus on the essential. But,
yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, indeed. And what experiences in your career have been most formative or important to your development as a leader?
Look, you learn a lot from your failures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, you also learn a lot when you have a hiccup in your career because, everything wasn't straight. At a certain point, I reached my ceiling at P&G.
Yeah.
And you need to be open-minded. And there, just as the ceiling was brought, another door opened. And I like taking risks, and I went for it. And, that's been an amazing growth opportunity for me.
That was to join Campari straight as the chief marketing officer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you did that for a couple of years, did you? Before?
Yeah, a little bit less than 2 years. And then again, a door opened. There was a vacancy, and I was given the opportunity to become the CEO. And at the age of 40.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Ever since then, my blood pressure went to the roof. But
yeah, and Campari grew tremendously under your watch.
Yeah, in 17 years, we tripled sales, profitability, and grew the market cap sixfold.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So it was a great gig.
Yeah, and great for the brand and the employees as well. So I'd imagine livelihoods were enriched and developed.
Yeah. Yes. But I think especially, people were really proud to work for the company. I remember in the first few years, it was really difficult to attract talent.
Yeah.
They say, why should we join? And then as our brands grew and our drinks became important, at a certain point, we had 5 in the top 15 cocktails of the world. Wow. Some brands which we owned from, talk about the Aperol Spritz or the Negroni. We were the early champions of the Paloma and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden everybody wants to join.
Yeah.
And that's a great feeling when you become the destination employer.
Yeah. And was that one of the goals that you set?
Well, it was a consequence.
Yeah. Brilliant. And what's been the most rewarding experiences you've had in your career? You've obviously had a long and varied international career.
Look, on the P&G side, it was the Lacoste acquisition. I championed it, I integrated it, and with a team, whom you know, we developed it. And, within 2.5 years, we went from $20 million to $250 million in sales.
Yeah.
And we had some, the launches were number one launches in many, many markets.
They were.
And really took the dust off the brand, and everybody, was looking up at that brand. So that's one of it. The other one was actually relaunching the Campari brand.
Yeah.
Was old, dusty brand. Consumers were above 60. We couldn't attract young people. We didn't have really a key signature drink. And, now it's a very, very exciting brand. It's very premium. It's very attractive. There's a Negroni, the Boulevardier, and a few other things. And, Campari has a very clear platform, which is a cinema platform. The big sponsor of the Festival de Cannes, Berlin, and many other cinemas. And, top stars want to come and work with the brand.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
great. That's one of them. The other one was taking a small regional brand in Italy from the Northwest called Aperol and turning it into probably, the largest aperitivo brand in the world, and turning the Aperol Spritz into really a very successful call. I mean, it's the most Instagrammed cocktail in the world. And it's been now growing like hell, double digit for many, more than 24 years.
Wow.
So that's exciting. And another one was creating a small tequila brand, which was called Espolon. And today it's one of the top brands in the 100% agave. So a lot of exciting things.
Absolutely. And a legacy as well, because drinks and favorite drinks live in people's memories, don't they? From going on first dates through to wedding days, through to how to relax and unwind on a Friday or Saturday night.
The drinks industry is about making the most of those precious moments.
Yeah. And what, on the flip side of that, what are the biggest challenges that you faced in your career?
Look, there were many challenges because, at the end of the day, whether it was P&G in the fragrances world, Campari in the beverages world, we were always the smaller player.
Yeah.
Or number 5, number 6, and playing against the big boys. So it was about punching above our weight.
Yeah.
Which is an exciting challenge on the other hand.
Yeah.
You don't have the means of the bigger boys.
Yeah.
You have to be smarter, faster, more nimble.
How did you stay agile in those situations?
Well, try and keep things simple.
Yeah.
If I think back about my days in Campari, in the first, 10 or 12 years as CEO, most of the time I also double-hatted. I was also CMO at the same time.
Right. Okay.
So that accelerated things.
Yes, I suppose the approval processes and everything are much... And you said you like taking risks.
Yes.
How do you evaluate risks? And
look, I'm very much of a gut feeling person. If it feels right in my gut, then, I'll stick to it. I'll try to then use my brain and use the analytical part. I was a financial analyst, run the numbers, think about the upside, the downside, and then, set up some KPIs along the road. And if you see you're hitting them, then you add a lot more wood into the fire.
Right. Okay. So gut feeling, check that with the right analysis, and then be prepared to lean in.
Big time.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say big time, how big is big?
How big is big? It's all relative to whichever company you're talking to. But in the case of Campari and the brands, and I always remember when, we tried to internationalize Aperol and the Aperol Spritz, it was about going to the markets and say, look, I'm giving you additional money.
Yeah.
Don't worry. This is not going to impact your bonuses.
Right. Okay.
So I'll take the risk on myself. Just go for it.
Right.
And then success bred success. And, before you knew it, everybody was behind it.
That's fascinating because a lot of people talk about innovation and risk as, create spaces, but they do forget the very simple ones about people are concerned about, failure or putting their putting their kind of their salary or bonus on the line. So that's really interesting that you...
The fear of failure is a big, stumbling block in many organizations.
Yeah.
But coming back to the point of innovation, everybody thinks innovation is about really magically creating, the next big thing. In the case of Aperol, the Aperol Spritz was there. It was about selecting it amongst the free drinks the brand had.
Yeah.
And then the biggest innovation, which was the trade marketing team in Italy, which managed to take the drink from a very small rock glass and for the first time put a cocktail in a big wine glass.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that rendered it much more glamorous, much more premium. You saw a lot more color. There was the appetite appeal, and it became a lot more profitable for the trade.
Yeah.
And that was a commercial innovation, which really was absolutely decisive for the growth of the brand.
Yeah, I love things like that because they're those small tweaks to marketing that people don't really notice or don't think of, but then make such a big difference. Yeah, that's brilliant. And once there's momentum, so there's also, for example, the Lacoste brand at P&G. I remember lots of senior leaders wearing Lacoste polo shirts. It became an emblem of success. There was a kind of cultural pushing the culture of the brand onto people and getting them excited. Is that something that you've used a lot over your career to help inspire people?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be really proud about what you're selling and marketing.
Yeah.
And when people can say that, their friends and their family members look up to them because they've developed this or they've developed that. I mean, it's worth probably a lot more than the bonus or even the stock options.
Absolutely. And what's the best advice you've been given over your career, Bob? You've worked with many great people.
Well, I think the best advice I ever got was always from my father, which was stay the way you are and, don't get discouraged. If you fall, pick yourself up and stay the course.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
That's very good advice. Sometimes easier said than done, I think. Was he your hero? Have you had other heroes?
Well, I mean, on a personal basis, my biggest hero, because he's, a multifaceted man, self-made, and taught himself languages, all sorts of things, and really a brilliant person, very tolerant. But I also have another hero, which is Winston Churchill.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of leadership and being resilient.
Yes.
And staying the course and making sure everybody follows you.
Yes. Yes. You mentioned that before to me about making sure everyone follows you. Could you expand on that a bit?
A CEO or a leader cannot make things happen on their own. You work through people with teams, etc. And if the team doesn't buy into the vision and is not given the means to actually go and tackle the obstacles which will lead to the vision, then it becomes perversion. Call it execution. Someone said vision without execution equals perversion.
Yeah.
Very often it's not difficult to identify the 3 or 4 things you need to do.
Yeah.
But it's making them happen.
Yeah.
Which is the challenge. When I became CEO, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do. And then I started going, and a year and a half into the journey, I turned around and I saw that, there was hardly anybody behind me.
Yeah.
And I was going too fast and I wasn't very good at communicating my vision, getting buy-in for the vision, and ensuring people had the tools to actually be able to contribute towards that vision.
Yeah. So do you have to slow down then?
And get everybody on board.
And that takes patience?
Well, it takes patience. It takes humble pie.
Yeah.
It
sounds like you hadn't gone too far.
No.
So it's enough to be able to go back and pick people up along the way.
And again, I must say, I was really supported by the majority shareholder.
Yeah.
Which had bought into the vision.
Yeah. And you as a leader.
Yeah.
And when you built that relationship with the majority shareholder, what are the type of things you look for in that relationship? Maybe the same relationship you look at when you acquire new brands or leaders there.
Look, I mean, you need transparency, you need trust.
Yeah.
And you need to, on both sides, be open for critical discussions.
Yeah.
and I truly believe in what I call ping pong, which is, throwing the ball across, and then that person will send it back and forth. And you do that with, ideas.
Yeah.
And, nobody has a monopoly on good ideas. And,
Yeah.
this back and forth really puts it into a great shape.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a difference, I think, at the end.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to be going around the ping pong table quite fast there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes play with 3 or 4 people at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
At school we used to have a all in, and there used to be a rotation. It's a different skill, but yeah, brilliant. And Bob, you also mentioned you sit on a number of boards of leading companies. What do you think the big challenges senior leaders are facing at the moment?
Look, I mean, right now, there are, I would say, 2 main challenges. One is the volatility brought by geopolitical instability.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult to plan. I mean, what horizon do you plan? You have to be very quick on your feet.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to have an idea of where you'd like to get to, but then be very nimble and, avoid the stones and the things which are thrown at you.
Yeah.
The second one, there's a huge, revolution going on, which is as big as what the Industrial Revolution was, which is the AI revolution. And it is, how do you really integrate it to increase efficiency into the company, et cetera, without throwing the baby with the bathwater? Because, I mean, the temptation of saying, okay, I fire 20% of the people and then replace it with AI is not necessarily the right solution.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting you say that. I was reading about Starbucks in South Korea, that there's just been a huge market decline. Starbucks is on fire in Korea because they launched their new tank cup at the time, at a very sensitive time, memorial time for issues with the government. And I was reading that apparently AI had come up with the ideas, and then levels of management hadn't properly looked at the ideas, and so there's this kind of failure of critique at the vital bits, and it's resulted in the CEO.
Well, I mean, it's a cumulative experience.
Yeah.
Some of these things, it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
takes what the Germans call Fingerspitzengefühl, which is, having a good sensation in your fingers.
Yes. Yes. Is that related to the gut?
Yeah.
Do you say? Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I mean, the gut is, to a large extent, I mean, there are many books written about it. It's a reflection of your experience.
And where do you see, amongst this volatility and industrial revolution change of AI, where do you see the opportunities for growth for senior leaders?
Well, I mean, senior leaders have to adapt themselves to their times. I'm glad I'm no longer an active CEO, because I think it's become very challenging right now.
Yeah.
It's easier to be an advisor.
Yeah.
But, it's about understanding that, Copilot or Claude or whatever is not a glorified Google search machine. You can do so much more with it.
Yeah.
And you have to, have experiments and tests and trials, and you'll fail and you'll do, but
yeah,
there's a lot you can get out of it.
Brilliant. And are there any frameworks or philosophies that you particularly have used over your career? Any models that have stood you in good stead?
Well, I think, there used to be one behavior I used to really champion in Campari, which we'd called humble and hungry.
Humble and hungry.
Humble and hungry. I mean, you have to be humble. Nobody has a solution to everything.
Yeah.
You might be the brightest CEO, but there'll be always somebody brighter than you, and maybe with more experience in other areas which you need, etc. So you have to be humble and hungry. Hungry to constantly learn. The moment you fall asleep on your laurels, you're toast.
Hungry and hungry. I like that. Yeah. Great. And Bob, thinking if you were to meet your 18-year-old self, what advice would you be giving?
I would say, be patient, take your time. I just wanted to speed through university and business school and go and make a big difference.
Yeah.
And I probably arrived, I think I was, what was I? I was 23 years old, and I already had my MBA, and I was very career focused, which was great. But I would say, take your time,
Yeah.
grow, develop a human being.
And if you were to meet your 30-year-old self?
Would be try and find a better balance between career and family.
Yeah, that's a good one. And this one I was thinking this morning around, and your 40-year-old self?
Would be the same. With a caveat, which is, pay a little bit more attention to your health and staying in shape.
Yes. Good. Brilliant. And Bob, what are your hopes for the future?
Wow. That's a big one. I mean, I think, first of all, for me, it's I would like my children to remain healthy and happy and, find their journeys, their destinations, not necessarily do what I've done. They should just choose their own path, but really find something like I found at the time, which I was really passionate about.
Yeah.
And giving it a go. So, this is on the family side. And then obviously, if I look at the broader picture, I would hope, that we can find a way to, dampen the populistic anti-globalization forces which are impacting the world big time right now, and which will leave many, many scars.
Yeah.
The liberal world order really, I think, had a huge impact in reducing famine, reducing poverty, but it also created disparity and was very bad at explaining the reasons for doing things a certain way.
Yeah. And what do you think the role or opportunity is for business leaders in that space?
Look, see, I'm not a big fan of the business leader who becomes a political protagonist.
Yeah.
Starts giving advice to politicians. I think you need to set the example.
Yeah.
You need to walk the talk. You need to be a good corporate citizen. And you need to think about all of your stakeholders and give back to society.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds achievable.
Well, easier said than done.
Yeah. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to share. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, it's a pleasure. I think what I'd like to add is, tell people is, focus on your dreams.
Yeah.
And stick on it and don't be discouraged.
And pick yourself
Persevere, pick yourself up. And it's always a question of sliding doors. I've had so many sliding doors. And at the end, I must say, although at first I would be hit by a truck, it was always for the better.
Right. Okay.
And there's a Turkish saying which says that change is always for the better.
Right. Okay.
Don't be afraid of change. Embrace it.
Yeah. So it might not feel good at the time, but long term, those sliding door moments always work out.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Bob, thank you so much. Thanks
for having
brilliant
me, James.
And much appreciated.